Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So we are back to our Power of Focus book, and we are looking at the very last chapter today. So this is going to be the last of the videos on the Power of Focus. So I'm going to think about what we're going to do next for the outdoor philosophy, whether I do another book or maybe what I do is just pick some individual randomized topics. Let me know what you guys think. Should we do a book or should we do some randomized topics? The next book I'd want to do is the next book I want to reread again is called First Things First, because I just have so much going on right now. And I'd love to go through the strategies again so that hopefully I can figure out once again, get things rebalanced and whatnot. So anyway, though, part of that, kind of leading into that, is Chapter 10 is on living on purpose. And we'll probably title this video something to the general effect of, why is America so stuck? Or, why is America so lame, if I want to be more negative about it. But the reality is we've been through this book talking about a lot of success strategies and talking a lot about choices and a lot about those different things. And the final part is living on purpose. And this is one of my favorite concepts. What I generally refer to it as is called living intentionally, which, much to my dismay, that horrible Christian book that I had recently read used that term constantly, but it's like, oh, so polluting the word. Because living intentionally, really what it means is that the things that you do in your life, you do them on purpose. As Dave Ramsey says, if a child does what's feel good, an adult devises a plan and sticks to it. And that means that you're being intentional in your life. So if you didn't intend to wake up on this Saturday morning when I'm recording this, if you had no real plans and no real intentions and no real anything, you did what felt good throughout the whole day, and you get to the end of the day, you look back and you go, where did my Saturday go? But if you start out and you say there's a series of goals and achievements that I would like to do, then you can put together some type, it might be a deeply rigid framework or a loose framework. And what I have today, I have a loose framework of some things I need to do. I have a couple meetings on Tuesday coming up that I need to prepare for today. I need to get some projects finished out and, a few other things done. So I'm going to be working in the office today. I'm actually going to do it relaxed. I'm going to work in the living room today, throw on some familiar movies because for some reason that really helps me work. But regardless, I'm going to get to the end of the day and I will have relaxed a little bit more because I'm not in the office totally surrounded by computers, but I will be getting actual real work done that needs to be done. And that's kind of that key factor there that I'm trying to do. And that's kind of what this whole chapter is about, is called living on purpose. Making the decisions that you're doing. And we talked about that in an earlier chapter about making the proper choices. Everything that we do is a choice. Even the choice not to choose is the choice. Even if you remember going back, there's the movie Dead Poets Society where he's teaching them how to have their own walk, have their own exercises, choose what they're going to do. And the one guy's sitting there doing nothing. He says, I'm choosing not to participate. Aha, very good. You have chosen in your choice not to participate. And that is a good factor to get. So what they're talking about here in living on purpose is, first, to live on purpose, you have to find your purpose. You got to know what you're here for. And knowing what you're here for is one of those critical things where you can stop and ask yourself this question: what is it that I want to do at the end of my life? What is it I want to achieve? What is it that by the end of my life I will look back and, as you've always said, people on their deathbed don't look back at the end of their life and say, I wish I would have spent more time at the office. No, it's I wish I would have spent more time, with family, or more time helping in this mission, or more time, whatever that is for you. That's what you have to find out. What is that one thing for you? Because some people don't have families, and so spending more time with family sounds all cliche, but there's a lot of people out there who don't have families. And so that really doesn't apply to you. But what do you want to achieve at the end of your life? What can you look back to and say, I did this, and therefore the world is better because of this? And that's that kind of thing. They go into a story about a kid who wanted to raise cancer because he found he was a young athlete and like a minor athlete, and he ended up getting cancer and dying halfway through this. But he started to run. In fact, he's the guy that founded what is called the Marathon of Hope, which is Terry Fox is the guy's name. And Terry Fox created the Marathon of Hope, which is still run annually in his honor. But basically that's what he decided he wanted to do, is he wanted to found a purpose for that key thing. Okay, so the key key things about defining your purpose, the key points that they talk about is aligning your purpose with your natural ability. You know, if you have absolutely no natural ability in something, your purpose probably does not lie in that area. However, if you really have a great desire, see if maybe you do have the natural ability, it's just raw. That could be the case. It just needs developed. Because the flip side of this coin that we have the tendency to do is to think that we can get in and just say, well, I'm no good at X, Y, or Z, so I'm not going to pursue it at all. Well, nobody was good at anything that they started to do the first time they did it. I mean, I look back to the first website I built and that was atrocious crap, you know. But it was the step to learn the process to do what I do today. And that was that key thing. But first, aligning your purpose with your natural ability. Second is be determined. And even if it's your natural ability, you're going to come into some struggles and some challenges, and you're going to look at this and go, that's hard. Don't quit just because it's hard. Don't quit just because it's hard. As I want to say it was Cal Ripken Jr., it might have been somebody else, but it was a baseball player, I know that. He said, never choose to quit in the valley, only choose that decision from the mountaintop. Or, as Chip Ingram, a pastor, had once said, he said, do not abandon in the darkness what God has shown you in the light. You know, don't walk away from something just because it's a challenge. Because if everything were so easy, everybody would be doing it. But as we look across the landscape of America, we see people wasting too much time on video games, too much time on television. I got news for you. Successful people don't know who got thrown off the island, or here's a key one for you, don't even know what the latest TV show is. Because I'm still using that island metaphor because I heard of that show a long time ago, 15 years ago. I think it's canceled now, is it? I don't know. Was it called Survivor? I don't know. I don't care who got kicked off the island. I don't care who's dating who. I don't care about celebrity gossip. I don't care about any of that crap. It's not applicable to my life. It's not applicable to success. And a lot of times all that stuff is just marketing to get you tied back into the system, to get you to spend more of your hard-earned money on more leisure and more entertainment rather than doing something meaningful with your life. Okay, so it is going to be difficult. It will be difficult. And then number 3 is maintain a humble attitude. You're not going to get anywhere in life if you're just, oh, look at how cool I am. I'm awesome. I rock, you know. Just maintain that humble attitude. All right. So in looking at your purpose, these guys talk about a statement of purpose. Of course, they go on to initially introduced this concept by looking at mission statements, like mission statements. You know, every company now has a mission statement, and they all include these words. In fact, here's a little comic here from Dilbert in here, and here's the boss. He says, I took a crack at writing a mission statement for our group. We enhance stockholder value through strategic business initiatives by empowered employees working in new team paradigms. And that makes about as much sense as anything. In fact, the last college I taught at, we were a school that there's various accrediting boards of the school. So the accreditation we went under was called AQUIP, which is a self-accreditation. You had to demonstrate, or the college had to demonstrate to the accrediting board that there was constant progress within the department. So I think it was every 2 years, every 3 years, we had to get in and write this giant assessment for the department, which contained all these words. In fact, we had this whole list of words. These are words you're not allowed to use, and these are the words that must appear in here somewhere. It's like purpose-driven focus of blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, guys, we're here to teach. Can we just teach and not deal with this mindless crap? Because I'll tell you what this AQUIP jump got us. I got there, and for 3 years, they were trying to figure out where to put soap dispensers in a lab. I'm like, by the sink? Duh. You know, but yeah, it took a long time. I finally came in there and I put the hammer down and I said, no, we're putting it here. Because why? Those are the sinks. That's why we're putting them there. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Sink. Okay? We're making a decision. We're not going to delay for another 3 years the simple question of where to put soap dispensers. There are more important things that this department needs to tackle. Period. And it happened, which was very good. So I left and there were soap dispensers. We got it done. Now, of course, they talk about taking this mission statement, which is usually paragraphs and paragraphs of mindless dribble spewed forth by some guy. I swear these guys, these external consultants that make these marketing things, they just have these bag of random keywords. Appropriation, team skill, yeah, and that's kind of what happens. And then it becomes this meaningless thing that nobody knows, nobody cares about, and it's become this giant meaningless joke through the whole thing. And but what though we need to do is instead they talk about having a statement of purpose, which they define as a simple one sentence. And so, you know, all these guys, you know, their purpose is to inspire their audience or to empower people to have a greater vision. And that's the thing we need to ask for ourselves. Now, do we have to formally do it and formally write something down? I don't know, maybe not. I guess that depends on your personality. I'd say you don't have to do that to be successful. But nevertheless, make sure you have a reason, something that you're wanting to do. Now, they talk about developing your purpose by looking at what they're calling a level of being, which is somewhat related to Maslow's triangle, I believe. I mean, it wasn't Maslow's triangle. They're using instead this level of being here. I'll scan up real quick. Okay. So they're using this level of being. And in this level of being, they identify the steps. In fact, this is what makes me think it's related to like Maslow's triangle, because it starts with self-realization. Of course, he talks about self-actualization. We talk about you know, the awakening. We talk about the mechanical, and that's what they're doing. They have 3 stages in what they call the child stages: mechanical and asleep. And really, as I look across the American landscape, this is where the American landscape tends to be a lot of times. Survival instincts. Possessive, territorial, controlling, and aggressive behavior. Uses attacking and threatening messages to stay in charge. Okay, they're fearful, they're defensive. Safety instincts, fearful and defensive. Tendency to worry, jealous, blames others for events and the lack of success. Does things for the approval of attention seeking, and portrays mechanical addictive behavior, like, you know, walking in, setting your keys on the counter, sitting down on the couch, pushing the button on the remote control, and sitting there and vegging out for a few hours. That is mechanical addictive behavior. Click, 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 click. Ooh, who's the idol I should be worshiping today? Ooh, who can sing? Ooh, who got thrown off the island? Ooh, who's the next bachelor or bachelorette or whatever that program is? I don't know. Never seen it. So we talk about this mechanical stage where you're so stuck, and in a lot of America, this is where we are, because we've been so beat down in the scope of our life. Because what ends up happening is we get caught in this rat race where they get you young, starting 6 years old. You got to wake up early and go all day to first grade, kindergarten, first grade, you know, whatever age it is where it becomes whole. I think even kindergarten now is whole day. It used to be half day when I was in kindergarten, but you know, you get these whole day kindergarten and first grade, you go off, and then now your entire life revolves around that 8 hours you're in school, and it so bogs you down to the point where you cannot even pursue your passions, and it drains, actually sucks every bit of life out of you, and you're just like, you know, and you get to the end of it, and you're just like, you don't know anymore. But we get to this point where we're older and we're like, life should be meaningful, but all we're trained to do is to wake up way too early in the morning to an alarm clock. I mean, people have heart attacks doing that. But you wake up way too early to an alarm clock, to go off to a job you don't like, to make barely enough money to pay the bills. You get your week off in a year if you're lucky, and then even that, to leave town and go on vacation, you got to put it on a credit card. And that's where a lot of America gets to, because we're so mechanical and so beat down. But a lot of people have frustration, but there's a lot of people that don't have frustration with that life. They're just like, okay, this is my lot in life. I'm just gonna get up, and as long as I have my little job and I can pay my little bill and I can watch my TV at night, I'm satisfied. And it's such a waste of human potential. Next up, they talk about the awakening stages. These are the adult stages, the awakening stages. The discovery, or the state of awakening, explores a win-win behavior, becomes intuitive and takes conscious risks, learning to give more instead of taking, and begins to share feelings, thinking through situations, and uses reason. And then the discovery of love, learns and practices unconditional giving and unconditional love, accepts easily, is forgiving, and begins to appreciate harmlessness. You know, so this is a person who's going out and learning how to give more than they take, how to not accumulate things to themselves, but instead to give back to the world. Is focused, instead of what can I gain for me, is instead focused on how can I help the world, irregardless as if the world helps them back. As part of the one of the book clubs I was doing right now, I just finished reading today the Through Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot, which is the 5 missionaries that were killed by the Aucan Indians, or Aucas Indians in Ecuador. All they were trying to do is demonstrate love, and the Indians just had no idea of this. They say Indians, of course, that's probably an offensive term now. I'm sorry. The book was written in the 60s. Deal with it! Shocking to me, they even call them Indians in South America. Ecuadorians? I don't know. Regardless, the people get in there, they finally make contact, but the Auca people think that they're cannibals, and so they go in with a raiding party and killed all 5 of them. And these men, but reading the story of these 5 men, these were men who were dedicated to the cause of Christ, and they didn't care if they lived or died. As long as this Aucas people heard the gospel, that's what they were concerned with. So if you haven't read the book Through Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot, go give that book a read. I'll throw a link down there in the comments there if I remember. And then the last stage is conscious and awake, the self-realization stage. Accepts life unconditionally, portrays invisible leadership skills, harmless to all, has personal power, lives each day with no judgment, and accepts truths without blaming others. And then state of self-reliance is high self-esteem, inner validation, motives from within, follows the inner voices, free from all the needs, and gives selfless service to others, and experiences no resistance. I mean, that's kind of the person you want to get to that point where you can be, where you're not all paralyzed by other people's decisions, but rather you're focused on just doing what's right, as your life is defined right in terms of selflessly helping the world around you. But that's like a foreign concept here in America, that's for sure. So they talk a little bit more about that. Now, the fundamental takeaway here is what they call a must-stop list. A must-stop list. So in order to move on to higher levels of success in our life, we must stop doing other things. And what are the things that we must stop doing? We must stop doing things that bring us down. It might be we need to stop. So in concept of stop doing things that bring us down means examining our relationships, examining if any of our relationships are toxic, and getting rid of those toxic relationships that do not inspire us. If a guy's just constantly bringing us down, I'm not necessarily saying excise the person from your life, but certainly minimize the time you're spending with them. Stop overspending, because if you want to cause impact in the world, you need to have some money, and you cannot have any money to impact the world if you're giving it all to the bank in terms of interest payments. So stop overspending, which is the first step to getting out of debt. You're never going to get out of debt until you learn to stop spending. When you learn to stop spending, then you will learn what it means to overcome, to get out of debt. And it's being intentional with your money, going right back to that topic of being intentional with your relationships, being intentional with your money. Stop being late. There's one. If you have an appointment with somebody, be there on time. And stop blaming other people for what you don't have. If there's something you want that you don't have, ask yourself, A, is it covetousness? B, do I need it? Or C, how can I get it? There's nothing wrong with stuff. Just don't let your stuff own you, and then stop putting yourself down with negative talk. There's other things. Evaluate the course of your life and look at the things that you're doing and see if there's anything you need to stop doing, and then just make the commitment to be intentional and stop doing it. So that brings us to the end of our discussion of the book, The Power of Focus, here on Outdoor Philosophy. Let me know in the comments what you think we might want to tackle next. Maybe I'll take a few weeks off of book reading and just cover some other odds and ends topics, and who knows, maybe we'll finish another book by the end of the year. But anyway, thanks for coming along with me to this journey. Check out the playlist for all of the chapters being discussed, and I hope that you have a great time switching to Linux. Not that Linux had a whole lot to do with this, but